Agent Workspace offers purpose-built experience that is geared towards improving agents' productivity. With Workspace, agents can seamlessly handle multiple cases and chats across different channels at a time. Many times, agents need access to the industry-specific tools, utilities, and third-party data to resolve the reported issue. You can configure, extend, and develop such custom experiences, such custom utilities and tools in CSM configurable workspace using UI Builder. In this short video, we are going to take a look at the custom utility app called Agent Scratchpad. You can download this application from ServiceNow Share. You can review the code base, use it, extend it the way you want. We will also go through the functionality of this application. We will take a look at the demo, and finally we will see the technical building blocks of this application in UI Builder. Agent Scratchpad is configurable workspace app that helps agents to capture what's important in the moment while they are working on the cases and interactions. It's available to agents in the contextual side panel. They can seamlessly view list of existing nodes, edit nodes, and create new nodes. It's the personal notepad for the agents. Notes captured by the agents are only available to them. Let's quickly take a look at the demo of this application. I've logged in as an agent, John Jason, who is working on this specific case. In the contextual side panel, in the contextual sidebar, you will find our app over here. This app displays list of recently created nodes. There is an option to create a new node. One thing to notice here is the nodes that are created here are private to the agents. These nodes are linked to this specific document and are linked to that agent. So if you navigate to a different case, you will not find these nodes over here. As you can see, it's a simple note-taking application. If you click on the create button, you will find agent can specify the title as well as the note. So let's create a new note. Once you have created note, that note will get displayed in the list view. Agents can also edit existing note. So if you click on any of this note, you can edit that note and quickly save it. So this is a simple note-taking application that allows agents to quickly create new notes, capture new notes, edit existing notes while they are working on the cases. So that was a quick demo of this application. Now let's go ahead and do a technical deep dive to understand the building blocks of this application and how to integrate this application in the CSM configurable workspace. For that, let me log in into my instance as a sysadmin. I'll go and first look at the notes table. So Agent Scratchpad application has this custom table called notes. And again, this is a very simple table that captures bare minimal information. It captures the title of a note, it captures the note itself, as well as the author and the link document. Now let's go back to the UI builder and open this application in the UI builder. What I've done is I've created this custom experience using UI builder called Agent Scratchpad. Now you don't need to always create a custom experience to develop such applications. You can directly modify CSM configurable workspace and add a custom page directly in that workspace. If you develop a standalone experience, then there are a few additional configurations required to make these custom pages available in the CSM configurable workspace. We will look into those custom settings, we'll look into those configurations in the later part of this video. Now let's go ahead and open this experience in the UI builder. Now one thing to note is that the contextual sidebar supports a single page application. As you can see over here, there is a single page called Scratchpad, and then this page has three containers. You can see that this page has three main containers representing our three different screens. So as we have seen in the demo, this application has three different screens. The very first screen displays the list of nodes, the second screen allows agents to create new nodes, and the third screen allows agents to edit the nodes. So we are using these three containers over here to represent those three different screens. The visibility of these containers is managed by the client state parameter called display page. So if we go to the client state parameters here, you will see that there is a client state parameter defined called display page. The initial value of display page is set to 1. Along with this client state parameter, we are using component visibility settings. So if you go to this first container, the list page container, and if you navigate to the visibility settings, you will find this specific condition, and then this condition will display this particular container if the display page is set to 1. Similarly, if you go to the second container, that's create page, you will again see that there is a condition that displays this page whenever the display page is set to 2. And finally, if you go to the edit page container, again under visibility setting, you will find this condition that displays that will display this page when the display page is set to 3. So essentially it's a single page, but then this page is divided into three different screens, and based on the display page parameter value, the appropriate screen will be displayed to the agent. Now let's quickly take a look at the parameters to this page. If you go to this page and click on the required parameters, you will find that this page has two parameters. One is table ID and table name. These are the mandatory parameters. And then when we will wire this app, when we will hook up this app in CSM configurable workspace, we will basically make sure that configurable workspace is passing these parameters to this application, so that whenever an agent will create a new node, the appropriate document ID, the appropriate case or interaction will be captured along with that node. So now let's go back and take a look at the very first page of our application. The first page is a list page, and this is a simple page that displays list of nodes created by that user, and there is also a way to create a new node. So if I go here and look at the list container, you will find that this container has a simple list component that is tied to the nodes table, and here under filters you will find that the nodes are filtered by the author, by the logged in user, as well as the document ID. There is also a way to create this create new nodes, but before that, let's quickly take a look at this list functionality. Now every list has an event called row clicked, and then there are obviously few additional events, but we are interested in the row clicked event. Whenever user clicks on a specific node or a specific row, this event will get fired, and we have defined a list page handler client script to handle that event. So whenever user clicks on this, the system will invoke this list page handler. Let's quickly take a look at the list page handler. So list page has a list page handler, and then this page handler receives the event as a input parameter. Now if you look at this condition, you will find that we are specifically interested in list row click event for the simple list component. So this is the component name and this is the event, And whenever user clicks on the node, on the specific node, we are basically processing that event using the scripts here. So every event will have obviously the name as well as the element ID, but along with that, it will also have a payload. And in this case, the payload is the sysID, is the sysID of the record that user has clicked. We are basically capturing that sysID into the client state variable called node ID. We have created a few additional client state parameters or client state variables to capture the node information. So you will find that there is a node ID, as well as title of this node. So these are the three variables that we have defined to capture the information related to that node. And along with that, there is also table ID and table name. Let's go back to the list page handler. And here you will see that we are capturing the sysID of that particular node. We are setting the node ID client state variable, and then we are invoking this data source called lookup node. Let's take a look at this data source now. If I go to the data sources over here, I can find this lookup node data source. This is a data source that retrieves a node from the database. And you can see, as you can see over here, this data source is linked to nodes table, and it retrieves the record based on the value that's captured in the node ID. This data source returns three variables or three different fields, namely sysID, title, and node. This data source also has again set of events. We are interested in data fetch succeeded event whenever this event gets fired. So whenever a particular node is retrieved, this list page handler client script will again get invoked. And as a result of that, if we go to the list page handler, you will find that there is a particular event that we are interested in. The event is called data fetch succeeded for the lookup node element. And once we have retrieved the particular node, what we are doing is we are setting up the client state variable values based on the data that has been retrieved. Once we have done that, the next thing is we are then transferring the control to the edit page, so that the edit page will be displayed to the agent. So this is how the list page works. The list page displays the list of nodes. As and when user clicks on the node, we are passing that event to the list page handler, which will basically then query that appropriate node, query the details for that node. It will set the variables, the client state variables, and then it will pass the control to the edit screen. So this is how the list page works. Now let's go back and take a look at the create page handler or create page. For that, let's start with the create page. The create page is available in this first screen in the list page. There is an event here, the button click event. So whenever user clicks on this button, the button click event will get fired. We are again passing the control to list page handler. And if you look at the list page handler, we are processing that event, and then that event will simply configure the display page value. It will set the display page value to 2. That means the control will be transferred over to the create page. So let's go back and now take a look at the create page. For that, I will change the display page value to 2 so that I'll be able to see the create page. Let's click on the create page here. As you can see over here, the create page is again a very simple page. It has these two components called title and notes. The title is a simple text component, and notes is a text area component. If you look at the events, what we are doing is whenever user edits or updates the title, we are setting up the client state parameter value. So if I click on this, I'm using this update client state parameter, and essentially as a result of that, what I'm doing is whenever user updates the title, this event will get fired and then it will set the value of the title parameter. If you remember, we defined those client state variables over here to capture the node details. Whenever user updates the values in the form, those appropriate variables will get updated. Similarly, if you look at this note variable, and if you look at this event, there is this text area input event that will also set the client state parameter value to the value that has been entered by the user. There is a button, there is a save button, and there is an event linked to this save button called button click. So whenever user clicks on the save button, this button click event will get triggered, and then it will call this create page handler. So similarly, the way we had a list page handler for the list page, we have also created a create page handler for the create page. If you go to the create page handler, you will see that we have the similar format. Essentially, we are listening into a specific event. So whenever this button is clicked, whenever this now button event gets fired for this create page button, we are then creating the template fields to capture the information that user has entered. So essentially we will capture the information that user has entered, as well as the information that is related to the table and the record ID. Once we have captured that information, then we are calling this create node data source. So this is again a simple data source, the create node data source, that is of type GraphQL, and then this data source will get triggered whenever we make a call to it. So if you look at this, we are simply calling this data source, we are passing the table name, our custom table name, as well as the fields that we want to populate. So once this data source is called, and if you look at this data source, there are again bunch of events linked to the data source. We are interested in this operation succeeded event, which will then get called whenever the record is created in the database. So this event will again call our create page handler, and if you go back to the create page handler, you will see that we are listening again into that create page handler event. So whenever a data operation is succeeded, whenever a new record is created, we are then passing back the control to the list page. So as a user, I've entered the appropriate details, I've clicked on the save button, that creates a record in the notes table. Once the record is successfully created, then I'm passing back the control to the list page. So this is how the create page works. Now let's take a look at the edit page. And for that, let me change the display page value to 3 so that I'll be able to see the edit page. As you can see over here, the create page container is invisible, the list page container is not visible, only the edit page container is visible. Edit page container also has these two fields, the label and the note itself. And whenever user clicks on the save button, there will be a button clicked event that will call the edit page handler. We will follow the similar structure, similar process to edit the existing nodes. So let's quickly take a look at that edit page handler. So if I go to the edit page handler, you will see that we are looking into this event called button clicked. Whenever user clicks on the save button, we are calling the update node data source by passing the update query. So in the update query, we will make sure we are passing the title and the node, as well as we are also passing the record ID. Whenever this update node data source is succeeded, when that operation is succeeded, then it will again call this edit page handler, and then we will pass the control back to the list page. So there is this update node data source, and then there is an event tied to it. So we are interested in the operation succeeded event. So whenever record is successfully updated, it will make a call to the edit page handler. Edit page handler will then listen to that event, and it will pass the control back to the list screen. So that's how the create page and edit page works. So in this application, we looked at 3 different pages: one that lists the existing nodes, one that creates new nodes, and one that edits the node that user has created. Every page has a page handler that basically processes the events from that page, and the page handler then appropriately calls the data sources to perform the operations in the backend tables. So that's the typical structure of our application. Now our application is ready. We have built our application. Let's quickly take a look at the way how we can test this application. So if you remember, this application has two mandatory input parameters, the table ID and table name. You can pass those parameters over here. You can pass the sysID of the case or an interaction or an incident, and you can also specify the table name over here. You can click on this open button to open this application, to open this page in the UI builder, and then you can test it over here. Let's quickly do that. So for that, let me go back and set my initial screen to 1 so that I'll see the list of cases. Let's close this and let me click on the open link. Okay, here you can see that the very first screen is displayed based on that display page parameter. Since we set that display page parameter to 1, the first screen is displayed listing list of nodes. You can create a new node as well as you can edit existing nodes. So our app is ready now. Let's see how we can now embed this application in the CSM configurable workspace. Since I've created this app as a different experience, I've created the agent Scratchpad experience. I'll need to make it available in the CSM workspace. For that, I will open the page definition by navigating to the developer menu. So if I click on the menu, and I'll see this developer option, I can open the page definition over here. That opens the page definition in a different tab, and then I'll basically update the associated types to shared page. What this will do is it will make this page available to different experiences. It will make this page available as a template to other experiences. As I said, you will not need to do this configuration if you directly create a custom page in the CSM workspace. So for that, let's go back to the configurable workspace and let's open the CSM FSM configurable workspace. So instead of creating a custom experience, if you directly create a new page over here directly in the CSM FSM configurable workspace, you will not need to do the setting that I just showed. Now let's see how we can embed this application, the application that we have built, in the CSM FSM workspace. For that, let's navigate to the record page. I'll go to the record page here. You can see there are different variants of this record page, but let's say we are interested in the default record page variant. I'll click on the contextual sidebar of this record page, and you can see that there are different tabs added in the contextual sidebar. If you scroll down, you will be able to see our Scratchpad application added over here. Now, since I have already added this application in the contextual sidebar, you are seeing this tab over here. To add a new tab, you will simply click on the add link here that opens this create tab form. You will specify appropriate details. Let's say and here in the page template, you should be able to find the page that we have created. So this is the page that we created as a part of agent Scratchpad experience. And then since we marked that page as a shared page, you can see that this page is available as a page template over here. You can keep this as a use original template. You can specify appropriate icon, as well as you can specify the order. Since I have already added this page as a tab in the workspace, I will not add a duplicate one. Instead, let's go back and open that tab that I have added. So I'll cancel it over here. I'll go down, and then I have already added the Scratchpad tab in the workspace. So I'll click on this little button here to open the application. If you remember, our page accepts two input parameters, table ID and table name. These parameters are captured in the page configuration. So if I click on the body here, and if I click on the configuration, the page configuration, you will find that table name and table ID are passed from the workspace in these client state variables. And once you have linked this page to CSM configurable workspace by passing these appropriate values, then you should be able to use this page in the workspace. So this is how essentially you add a custom page directly in the workspace. And then if your page is accepting some additional set of variables as input parameters, you can specify those parameters using page configuration. Well, so this is how we built our agent Scratchpad app. So what we looked at it is how we can build custom experiences using UI Builder, how we can embed those experiences in CSM configurable workspace in the contextual sidebar as a tab. And once we have added that, this experience should be available to the agents in the contextual sidebar. You can, as I mentioned earlier, you can download this app from ServiceNow Share. The link to download this app is captured down below in the video description. You can download this app, review the source code, use it, and extend it as needed. Thank you for watching this video.